Is there a danger that both sides now are so well entrenched that almost this becomes a vicious circle of a story, that they hate the media and their fans think the media are evil? That winds the media up even more, so they get more critical of Meghan and Harry. So that makes Meghan and Harry more critical of the media, and so on and so on. There becomes a sort of spiral in this story.
Yes, that's absolutely the case. I think what we really need is for some heat to be taken out of it now. Unfortunately, the impending documentary, judging by the trailers, is not going to take heat out of things. I think we just have to get through these stormy coming weeks, what with the documentary and Harry's book, and then maybe things can settle down to some kind of normality afterwards. I don't think the relationship between the Sussexes and the media will ever be repaired. I mean, I think that's just too far gone, and we have to accept that. But we can live in hope that the relationship between the Sussexes and the rest of the royal family might one day improve, but that's a long, long way off.
And is it your view, and you've only seen the trailer, we'll talk about some of the imagery that you need in that, but the tone seems to be, I don't know if you've had this, you speak a lot to people connected to the royal family. Do they feel a bit embattled? Do they feel a bit targeted? Is this show likely to cause damage to that relationship?
I think people who are either close now or have been close to the royal family feel two things. One is they feel just weary. They just feel tired of the whole mess. And others, after having seen the trailer and the implication that, for instance, people were leaking stories, planting stories against Harry and Meghan, they are seething with rage. That was the phrase that was used to me, seething with rage about this. So it's been received quite badly. A lot of people I've spoken to who were close to them have no intention whatsoever. At least they say they've got no intention whatsoever of watching the documentary. They've really had enough. Whether they'll weaken, whether they'll crack and watch it, I don't know. I suspect they might in the end.
You've been speaking to a former staff member at Buckingham Palace who claims to have been bullied by Meghan. Is there a danger that, and presumably that person thinks that Meghan is sort of Diana washing her own reputation by focusing on all the ills of the past the royal families have experienced?
Very much so. And, the timing, I guess the timing of this story is significant. That person felt they could speak out, albeit anonymously. They wanted to speak out before all this came out, because just to remind people, there's another story out there that, Harry and Meghan in this documentary very much portraying themselves as victims. Well, as I said around the time of the Oprah interview, when I wrote my story about Meghan being accused of bullying, they're not the only, Harry and Meghan are not the only victims here.
Exactly right. Does it matter that even in the trailer, there's some sharp practices being involved? There's footage from Katie Price court case being used to suggest paparazzi exposure of the couple. I mean, maybe it doesn't matter because no one would doubt they've had their difficulties with the paparazzi. No one would doubt Harry's difficulties with the paparazzi. They were involved in the death of his mum. No one would dispute his ability to complain about that. Does it matter that they're using these slightly sharp practices?
I think it's a bit sharp. Apparently, someone in the Sussex camp has been saying it's standard practice in trailers, and you shouldn't take it too seriously or too literally. Let's see what's in the documentary. But I think one point that was made to me by someone who was close to them is that Meghan, and I take your point about Harry and his mother, but Meghan was not mobbed by the media.
Yeah.
Her complaint really was that there were stories in the media she didn't like. But she wasn't mobbed by them, and to portray it as that was happening, as though packs of ravening paparazzi were following her every step, it's just not true.
No, and that's really one of the points Harry was making in the trailer. Certainly, so it's out at 8 o'clock tomorrow morning. We think, Val, is that your understanding? And are you going to sit and watch all three in a oneer?
I haven't quite decided our strategy, but I'll certainly be there at 8 o'clock tomorrow morning sharp. Bag of popcorn by my side, ready to watch. Well,
we're going to try and speak to you.
Muesli, surely?
Bit of early morning muesli for you. Just before you go, the king had another egg thrown at him. That's two. Do we need to read into that at all, Val? That feels like almost a pattern. Never happened to the Queen.
It's almost an omelette, isn't it? I think that it didn't happen to the Queen, did it? I mean, there was a lot of respect for the Queen. No one would. Well, don't forget, of course, people fired shots at her in the past. I think He's settled in quite well, the king. I think, and if a couple of deranged people want to throw eggs at him, I don't think it necessarily reflects any national mood out there.